To gain knowledge from Loon, who was born in Harlem, New York. He started his music career as a member of Mace's rap collective Harlem World, and then became part of P. Diddy's Bad Boy Records under the name Loon. He released his self-titled debut album, made many guest appearances on songs of the R&B and hip-hop genre. I mean, this boy was bad. Loon left Bad Boy Records in 2004 to start his own record label, Boss Up Entertainment. Since then, his life has taken on many challenges, including imprisonment. And he is here with us today to talk about it and share his wisdom with our community. Assalamu alaikum. My brother. Oh my God. First, I have to share with you that this interview makes me a bit nostalgic because when Tupac was locked up in Dannemora prison, guess who visited him? I did. This was really, his handlers wanted me to get his story before anything happened to him, anything terrible happened to him while he was there. I also had his wife there. She was there. She had moved up there so she could visit him every day and bring him fresh underwear. I have to say this, that the first thing he confided to me was, everybody says they love me, but don't nobody come to see me. And why am I still here? And of course, weeks later, Suge Knight did come to get him out. And that's when he started his journey with Suge.
Yep, history.
I'm so pleased you can share wisdom with me and my audience today. How are you, and let's just start here. How are you enjoying being at home? And what's the first thing you did?
To be honest with you, words can't really explain what it is to, re-enter a state of comfort and, tranquility and ease. My family has endured a lot this past 9 years, as I had mentioned to you, I've been with my wife 25 years. She's been my best friend. She's been my rock. She's been my greatest supporter, you know what I'm saying? And, my children as well, they had to endure this, absence of mine as well. So to be back in that space and nothing has been broken, I think I'm more like, I'm more delighted and more pleased that that's actually the case, opposed to, many people who come from, doing these type of stints. They come home and everything is in shambles, or they may come home and everything is disfigured, or, there might be a lot of discord, you know what I'm saying, between, the people that you left. So I'm grateful for many reasons, many things, and I don't think words can really explain it.
When you said nothing has been broken, she's kept the family together. She's was she working the whole time, or how did she do that? I mean, I want you to teach us now about how did she do that? How was she able to keep it together? How many children, first of all, did she have?
We got two children together. My son just turned 24. My daughter, she's 10 years old. So if you do the math, if I've been going 9 years, that means my daughter was like 13 months when I fell.
Okay.
So we literally were able to create, some type of, structure, as far as communication, visits and everything. And my daughter was completely oblivious to my incarceration all the way up to probably about 8 years old, to where it really dawned on her and she started to question certain things. But other than that, it came from, my wife, her wisdom, ability to cultivate and nurture, and, us to be, on the same accord in all our efforts and, trying to keep things together. My wife is a chef. She's a certified chef. She, graduated high in that class in New York Restaurant School like years ago. So it was kind of easy for her to find, employment, because food is recession proof.
Yes, yes, it
You
is.
know,
So when you were in prison, did you meet other guys that had women or girlfriends that were no longer there after a certain period of time? That they were ghost, basically. Like, and how did the guys deal with that, or did you have to help them deal with that because your wife was still in your life?
well, I think just because of my character and the relationships I developed with certain dudes, they confided in me, and I met quite a few guys that struggle with that.
That struggle.
Mainly because
Uh-huh.
struggle with maintaining their relationships,
Right.
because when they were home, they were the breadwinners. They was able to, bring food to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So, these individuals in particular, the commonality in their story was the same. It's like, I used to bring home food. So I used to take care of her. I used to put her on all this nice stuff. And when I wasn't able to provide those things, it became difficult to maintain a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then arguments started, the necessities that wasn't available, and it becomes a hardship on both parties. So I would never say or demean the women or, the guy, it just seemed like it was this commonality of trying to maintain some type of financial stability in your absence, and it's extremely difficult.
So
You know what I'm saying?
she was able to work at the same time with the children, because I always wonder, how do you all make it? What do you do? How does the family stay together? Because this is important to share with us, Loon. How to get through those tough times. So that's why I'm asking you about that so
But
much.
basically, I used to tell guys, you got to return back to the romance. You got to go back to how it started. You know what I'm saying? The things you used to say when you were pursuing this woman. You got to
Oh,
go back to those memories. You got to go back in that space. You got to keep her mind,
mm-hmm,
kind of like isolated to good things and good times, and
mm-hmm.
not allow, what's present and what's prevalent, to override that. And this is something that, I used to exercise even myself, because me and my wife have so many fond memories, and we have spent so much time together that it's easy to kind of like ration those moments through the whole duration of the sentence, to where like now we get to this point where I'm home, it's like we just pick up where we left
Where
off.
you left out. I'm so happy to hear that. And talking about home, how are you enjoying being at home? What's the first thing you did? What did you do?
The first thing I did was I snuck up on my family. You know what I'm saying?
They
I
didn't
snuck
know.
up on them. Yeah, because I got immediate release. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I got immediate release. And being the fact that it was all over the media, I had assumed that they knew. So I
Okay.
said, I might well pop up, not thinking that they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got footage of this for my documentary that I'm shooting. And it's like, to see their faces, and my daughter especially, like to see their faces when I walk through that door. It was like, something that words can't explain. And the first thing I did was eat a good meal. I've been eating processed food for for like 9 years.
Oh, Lord.
And it gets redundant. Like, the national menu is the same thing. You eat the same thing every day,
What's that?
every week.
What is that? What is that? Tell me. What is that?
Well, for example, the best day is Thursday, because that's chicken day. We black folks, we love some chicken. So it'd be fried chicken, or it'd be like fried chicken, or it'd be baked chicken,
Uh-huh.
or barbecue chicken occasionally. Wednesday is a hamburger. I didn't really touch that stuff. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have like, they definitely had a lot of Mexican food, like, tacos and stuff like that, burritos. So, I mean, it became so repetitive, and it would tweak every now and then. But for the most part, it was definitely the same consistent, meal plan. So it definitely became kind of redundant.
Well, let's go back a little bit into your life before, And so you were signed to Tommy Boy Records,
Yep.
right? Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Monica Lynch and all that. But you were signed by Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah, Fat Man Scoop signed me.
And I used to hang out with him and his wife, and they had a reality show a long, long time ago, In the Bed. Do you remember that? They had a show, In the Bed.
Nah, I missed that joint.
Oh, oh, I remember him very well. And then in 1997, Mace brought you into the
Yeah.
Hollywood movement. You were also signed to Arista. So take us
Yeah.
on that journey up to getting with Puff and Mace, and then you left Bad Boy afterwards.
it was a whole different time. You know,
Uh-huh.
music, you know what I'm saying, was a whole different time. Everything was structured different. You know what I'm saying? It really wasn't no blueprint in how you got in the game. It was just everything was kind of left up to, you know, chance. You know what I'm saying? And I like to say preordainment. Like whatever is ordained for us, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna miss you. And if it's not ordained for you, then it won't reach you. So my journey really started from, you know, really like 95. You know what I'm saying? I started writing for Shaq first. You know what I'm saying? I was writing
Akil?
yeah, I was writing for Shaquille O'Neal.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, a
That
lot of people ain't know. I was a real ghost writer. Like, you know, people don't understand what ghost writer meant. I was a ghost writer because I still was kind of dabbling in the street, and I was kind of afraid of the camera, to be honest with you. I didn't really want to like put myself in a public, you know, light, knowing that I was doing at the time. So like getting those writer checks, I used to take them joints straight to the dealer, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, right?
Uh-huh.
So I started, you know, in '96. I signed to Tommy Boy Records. Fat Man Scoopy signed us, and then he left. So he kind of left us, you know, in the hands of some individuals that didn't see his vision, and you know, what looked like a home very much became a house and started to feel like a rental. So it was
Mm-hmm.
time to get out of there. Then, you know, Mace came with the Harlem World Project. At the same time, I was being offered a solo deal with Arista. So I asked Clive Davis's, I asked him permission, basically, like, you know, could we just hold off on the solo deal? Let me do this group thing with Mace, and hopefully this group situation to propel my solo career. So when Harlem World took off and then Mace abruptly quit, you know, this was another impediment, you know what I'm saying? But Clive Davis kept his word, kept his door open, allowed me to, you know, be a solo artist on Arista. Then another transition came when Clive left to form J Records, and I ended up staying at Arista with L.A. Reid.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And, you know, L.A. Reid had a lot of pressure on him to fill the shoes of the great, you know what I'm saying, Clive Davis. And
Clive Davis, I remember, yes.
yeah, and my project at the time wasn't considered a priority. So
Mm-hmm.
Mark Pitts, who was my manager, who ended up having an A&R position at Arista,
Mm-hmm.
he suggested to Puff that, you know, Loon should come down there and write something for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was scheduled to go down to Miami for 4 days and write 2 songs. I ended up staying 4 weeks and I wrote 10 songs, and the rest was kind of history.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
This is amazing when you're telling me about that because I know all these people.
yeah,
I was with
yeah.
that Monica Lynch and all of that. Tommy Boy Records. It was you're really taking me back. When did you become Muslim and why did you want to change your lifestyle? I know it's strengthened you. Tell me about
Yeah, definitely.
it.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, and it's funny because when I left Bad Boy Records and I formed Boss Up Entertainment, I was doing it for the sake of trying to salvage my career. So when I went on a tour, you know, long story short, the man told me like, you know, 60 million slaves passed through here, but 6 million never left the soil. They fought and they died. So me being ignorant at the time, like, man, they must have been some real, you know, some real NIWGAs. Like, you know, he's like, nah, they were Muslim. So I'm like, Muslim, what does that mean?
The
He's like,
Muslims
nah, they went,
fought and died. They were the ones that
yeah,
okay.
they were on the fort and died. He said the ones that were weaker in faith was the one who got sold into slavery. So basically, what he was saying is a Muslim is one who submits to the will of God and God alone. So they fought for that.
Mm-hmm.
So me understanding that, it kind of stripped me of nationalism. So now all of the things I used to hold on to as a young African American, like the first black man that made the shoe, the first black man that made the street lights, and all of these things we used to hold on to, you know what I'm saying, to establish our dignity and our pride and connection to our lineage. But what this man had explained to me had surpassed that. You know what I'm saying? It was something greater. It had nothing to do with the color of my skin. It had everything to do with what they had in their hearts.
In their
They
hearts.
believe in belief in God. So the next trip was to Kazakhstan, which is in Middle Eastern Asia, Russia.
Yeah.
And I went out there, hung out with the president of Kazakhstan for like 9 days. Me and Mario Winans, and we did a lot of, you know, good stuff out there. So on the last day of the trip, I'm smoking. I remember asking the president, like, yo, when you see somebody in the street, like, how you say what's up? And he said, Salam alaikum. I'm like, huh? Like, nah, that's what the Muslims say. He's like, nah, we Muslims. So that was the first time me seeing diversity.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, in New York, all you really see is like the Yemenis in the corner store. You see the the West Africans driving the cabs and the Pakistanis with the pharmacy. So like that's as diverse as it get in New York as far as us identifying with Muslims. So going to Russia actually, you know what I'm saying, and having this regal treatment coming through and come to find out they're Muslims too. You know what I'm saying? So
I've
the
never
grand
heard that they were
yeah,
Muslims over in, okay. Well,
yeah,
they're Muslims everywhere, I guess.
yeah, everywhere. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, this is 1/3 of the earth population. It's 1.8 billion Muslims in the world. So now I remember getting booked to go to Dubai. And I remember the girl that was working for me was telling me about this trip. And I'm like, I ain't going out there. You crazy? I seen the news. Like, nah, B, them dudes be out there wilding. Like, how we going to get around? What we going to be driving? Like, I got to wear a vest. Like, because this is the misconception that most people have based on media. But we talking about Dubai now. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know nothing about it. I just knew it was Arabs. And I don't want to be out there with all them wild Arabs. You know what I'm saying? So it happened to be the most immaculate trip I ever took.
Why is that? Tell me about that. Tell me about that. What was immaculate about it?
It was immaculate because of the lifestyle and the culture and everything that came with that land was so absolutely contrary to what the media projected. You know what I'm saying? And the mannerisms, the hospitality, everything was just so warm and embracing. You know what I'm saying? So when people try to paint a picture, just like us being black, we know we've been victims of this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We've been victims of being, you know, misinterpreted, misconstrued, you know, painted a certain way. And this was what I suffered from as a black man looking at another race. You know what I'm saying? So going out there and seeing just this extravagant lifestyle that was being lived, I was like, wow, you know, subhanAllah, these people were like, you know, what we doing? They doing what we doing. You know what I'm saying? The doors on their car go up, our doors go up too, you know? So I remember staying at the Emirates Palace in Abu Dhabi, which is the only 7-star hotel in the world. And I remember watching the sunrise. And it was something I never paid attention to in a very long time. Because, you know, we be so busy, we just think the sun is up, it's work time, the moon come up, it's sleep time. Yeah. We like really don't pay attention to this miracle that is in our presence every day. Because we know that no man can facilitate the rising and setting of the sun, and no man has anything to do with the rising and setting of the moon, rain coming from the heavens and everything. Like, these are signs that connect directly to our natural disposition of knowing that there has to be a God, right? So based on that experience, everything came full circle. The trip from Senegal, the trip to Kazakhstan, and right now what I was witnessing. And something told me in my heart that I wanted to be somebody who submitted to the will of God. So I ran down to the lobby, the first Muslim that I found, and I asked him, how do I become Muslim?
Really? Now, what year was that? What year was
this
that?
This was 2008. This was like December of 2008, if I'm not mistaken.
And then what happened? You asked, did you become Muslim there, or did you come here to join the nation?
I became Muslim right on the spot. You know what I'm saying? Because they accept Islam.
What happens?
And that's the thing that's so funny about it.
Yeah.
He just told me, repeat after him. He said, take your index finger, your right index finger, hold it.
Okay.
And say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped, you know, saying alone but Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. So when I said this, he said khalas, which means like, you know, finito, cool, now you Muslim.
Okay.
So I'm like, hold on. That's it?
No, I was going to say to you that I have gone, Minister Farrakhan and I have hosted events together. You know, I had a lot of, I was introduced to the Nation of Islam here in New York because there was going to be a fight between Tribe Called Quest and Teddy Riley's group. And it was the Nation of Islam that stopped that had both groups there. And they invited me to come in and witness what happened. Oh, no, that's not right. They showed me what happened. And I was so impressed with what they did and what they said by teaching each group how to love one another and teaching them about how they're pitted against one another.
The thing is, what a lot of people don't know, especially in the Black communities, is that, you know, there's only one Islam. There is no Nation of Islam. There is no Moorish Temple. All of these different groups, You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this in all honesty and just clarity that, you know, there is no race or ethnicity that has exclusive rights over Islam. You know what I'm saying? Islam is a religion for everyone. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, some of these groups are more, you know, active and just, you know, singular communities, you know, more driven towards, you know, African American, you know, communities and the culture and so on and so forth. And it's like, I would never condemn anything that's done good as far as enjoying it was good and forbidding was evil. But when it comes to the belief system, you know, the Muslims, we don't share the same belief system as the Nation of Islam or the Moorish science or the 5%ers and so on and so forth. So, you know.
I know that. I kind of share with all of you all because you all belong to me. So I'm there for whatever helps my people, my black men. I'm just there, you know. And that's what I'm really concerned. I think that you're gonna make a big difference coming back. I'm excited about your coming back. I'm excited about what you can offer to our community. I want to ask you something. Did you write or record anything in prison? Did you take a break from music?
Abstain from music because actually in Islam, you know, music is prohibited. You know what I'm saying? So you may have some Muslims out there that still struggle with this area, and some of them might actually be strong in areas where I may struggle. But in this particular area, you know, I had no issue with abstaining from something that detours you from the remembrance of Allah, which is music.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was saying, right, about
Mm-hmm.
my style is like I quickly, because of my sons, my daughter, my sisters, and everybody, like, you know, they're very, very fashionable, and they haven't had no 9-year break in the fashion, you know what I'm saying, movement, so to say. So based on being around them, I quickly kind of found my niche, you know what I'm saying, where I could still actually, you know, incorporate some relevance as far as my appearance, but at the same time adhere to, you know, certain tenets of my faith. For example, like the men, we're commanded to cover our aura, meaning like, you know, our adornments, which starts at the top of the navel and below the knees.
Okay.
So a lot of times when you see Muslims, they have, you know, their pants over their ankles. You know, this is from, you know, implementing, you know, the prophetic traditions of the Prophet Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? So if this is something that he implemented, then we implement it. You know, Islam is about following. You know what I'm saying? The messages that were sent to us, we follow them. You know what I mean? This is how we have an understanding of our religion.
Okay, so
You know,
let me understand also. So when you're teaching, I can ask questions, right?
yes, absolutely.
So okay, so do you know why he had the pants down to the ankle? Was there a reason at the time? Was it the climate or something that no, I'm dumb.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great question. No, it's a great question. Because basically during those times, like, you know, people who had, you know, wealth, out of arrogance, they used to drag their clothes.
They used to
So, you
drag
know,
what?
they used to drag their clothes.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So you know how pimps used to have these long chinchillas and drag them on the floor.
Yes.
Kings have long garments and drag them on the floor.
Yeah.
So this was a sign of arrogance. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So when you look at, you know, the wisdom behind practicing something that's contrary to arrogance, you know what I'm saying, then the pants, you know what I'm saying, are moved above the ankles, you know what I'm saying, to actually, you know, refute the notion of being arrogant, so to say.
Okay, so they both move the pants above the ankle and not
Above the ankle.
okay.
And that, yeah.
So that's,
You know, same thing with the beard. You know, beard is your natural disposition. It's kind of like a pit bull.
mm-hmm.
When you buy a pit bull in his original state, if you cut his ears and cut his tail, it's not a pit bull anymore. You alter his natural state. Understand? So we have hair follicles in our face. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? This is a part of being a man. You know what I'm saying? The species that you love. You know? So men are supposed to be men.
Well, some women
You know
have hair follicles too. What's that about?
Well, you know, that's something that's genetic. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But in a woman's case, you know what I'm saying, they should remove it.
Mm-hmm.
But a man shouldn't remove his beard.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We commanded to trim the mustache and leave the beard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when people
that's
try to criminalize they try to criminalize the identity of the Muslims. It's something us as black people should understand more than anything. You know what I'm saying? They've tried to criminalize anything that come with our identity, whether it's a hoodie or whatever the case may be.
Why were you indicted? What was the charge actually? Was it
I
just
was indicted for conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute 1 or more kilos of heroin. Now, I never saw heroin a day in my life. You know what I'm
you never
saying?
heard, you never saw what? What did you say?
I said I never saw heroin a
Uh-huh.
single day in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? At the time, I was traveling around the world as a motivational speaker. You know what I'm saying? Speaking, having speaking engagements in probably all 6 continents except Antarctica. So I'm openly, you know what I'm saying, speaking to the youth in different countries all across the globe. And all this stuff is documented, is on YouTube. You know, I'm not running from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had just came from Hajj in Saudi Arabia, returned to Egypt where I lived and turned in the gifts that I bought for my family and got on the plane to go to Belgium, you know, to attend the speaking engagement. And I was grabbed by Interpol and told that I had an indictment in the Eastern District of North Carolina in the city of Durham, in a city I'd never been to.
Oh.
So, you know, this is a conversation that I've been having with a lot of lawmakers as well, because in the prison system, we identify with these cases as ghost dope cases, meaning there's no dope. There's just hearsay or statements from CIs or, you know, informants or whatever the case may be. And they say in these statements that this guy sold me this amount of drugs and this guy sold me this amount of drugs. And they put that all together and indict a person. And, you know, most cases with their 90% or 96% conviction rate, you actually get convicted for drugs that don't exist and just hearsay from, you know, individuals who are working with the federal government.
How did they
So
how did they target you? Why you? You know.
well, it was an individual that I met in like 2008. He was interested in the music business. Came to Atlanta to work on some stuff, and I pointed him in a direction to help his career. He inquired about, you know what I'm saying, something that wasn't, you know, my speed. So I introduced him to somebody, which was my only mistake, and my only involvement was the introduction.
Right.
So basically me saying, hey, Mike Lee, that's Jamie. Jamie, that's Mike Lee. Y'all cool. Y'all got y'all thing. All right, I'm out. So now whatever transpired between you two, you know what I'm saying, which might have led to Mike Lee's incarceration, instead of him standing up and taking his lick, he turns around and implements me. And that's how I got indicted. That's how I got pulled into, you know, a conspiracy. And, you know, it's that simple.
I didn't know. You know who first person told me about that was the Barges brother, because he said he was sent away for 6 years for introducing someone to his cousin. Both of them had, you know, they were drug dealers, whatever they were, and then he was sent away for 6 years. I was like, really? I couldn't believe it. I had been living in Sweden for 9 years, so I had missed a lot of that drug war stuff, what was going on with the drugs. And so I was like, you just got sent up there for all that time. My heart was broken. I'm going to tell you, all our men were sent out in prisons. It just tore up our families and our communities. It just really bothered me, and bothers me today also. Yeah. And he was sent away for 6 years. That was the first I heard of. I was actually a producer at BET at that time. I had been away 9 years in Europe, in Sweden. I lived in Sweden, went to school there and all that. When I left the United States, Black men were going to college. Black women were going to college because they wanted to marry a doctor, a lawyer, or accountant or something like that. And when I came back, Black women were in college and Black men were in jail. And I was like, what the hell happened here? And we were targeted. If you see that the series that John Singleton did, Snowfall, they tell you what happened. How, you know, Oliver North, who was the military person, would use Rick Ross to bring in all
during the Contra scandal. But it's an even better documentary that came out by Ava DuVernay, was called The 13th.
Okay.
Now, it talks about how they exploit the 13th Amendment. And this is basically the root of all of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, with the stories of Freeway Rick and everybody else that have been a victim of mass incarceration, this has started way back after the Emancipation Proclamation. So when the slaves were freed, the economy plummeted. So the only way they can find a way to get these people back into cheap labor was to give them trumped up charges and incarcerate them, because the 13th Amendment clearly states every man is free until he commits a crime.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us, you know what I'm saying, as African Americans as well, a lot of our demise comes from ourselves. And I'll be the first black man to say that, you know what I'm saying, in all confidence, that we need to grow in this area. Not to demoralize or, you know, add insult to injury, but we do need to grow, because knowledge is power. You know what I'm saying? Knowing is something that aids you in implementation. So when I learned about this 13th Amendment and seeing that, okay, this is why they wear house in the men. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the young boys that was coming in, a lot of them had a lot of characteristics, you know what I'm saying, that kind of, you know, coincide with being raised with a single mom. You know what I'm saying? Or being raised amongst their aunts or grandmothers or women that's left.
Right.
So what happens is those masculine traits that are acquired by being raised by a man
Gone.
are missing.
Yes, yes,
You know what I'm saying?
yes.
And this is, and actually all of this stuff is inclusive, because this is what leads to a lot of these spontaneous killings. You know what I'm saying? Young boys having these female emotions, so to say, not thinking things all the way through. And I'm not saying that the mean women either. I'm just saying at the end of the day that when women have emotional issues, you know, you have to utilize other things besides aggression, because men have aggression to substitute for their anger or frustration. You know what I'm saying? And this is why black women and women in general endure things more, or, you know what I'm saying, are able to tolerate things more when it comes to these type of areas. But when you have a man who has aggression alongside these challenges that come with some of the emotions that they, you know, acquire through whatever, you know, transactions in the street, argumentation, whatever, you know what I'm saying? These kids is just acting spontaneously, not even thinking, just enraged, angry, and just, you know, acting out. And they don't have a man around to tell them these things.
Yes.
You know, women struggle trying to tell these men
Right.
how to be men in these situations. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that they failing, is we're failing as men. You know what I'm
So
saying?
how do we fix this? I know this is something that you're you're engaged in prison reform, but before we get to prison, that's what that I don't want to be. I want to keep us out of prison. So can you tell us some of the things that we need to know and be aware of? A lot of times we're not aware of what's being done to us and how we're being, as they say, played more or less.
I think that once upon a time, the narrative that was coming from men in the street was this complete abstinence from police and anything that had anything to do with policing, right? Because of, you know, the widespreadness of drugs, you know, in the community, violence, and so on and so forth. But I believe that narrative has to change, meaning that if black men like myself in
Yes.
America are sick and tired of police coming through our communities, telling us where to stand, where to go, how to act, you know, so on and so forth, or coming into our communities, fearful of their lives, although they're possessors of firearms and so on and so forth, then why don't you young black men take the job? This is coming from a man who's, you know, I'm no rat, I'm no informant. You know what I'm saying? I took
Sell out, don't sell out. It's not a
yeah,
sellout.
yes, I'm telling you this from like me being a product of everything that we trying to save you from.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Go take these jobs. If you're tired of houses being on fire in black communities and it's taking longer for the fireman to get there, then go and take the job of the fireman.
Right.
If you're tired of seeing black men laid out on the street with gunshot wounds and it take 12 hours for the EMS to come, then go and take these jobs. Because if you want to start, you have to start with infrastructure. You have to start with what's going on in the immediate or primary place of where these things are taking place. You know what I'm saying? And the job is called to serve and protect, which is actually an obligation of a man to serve and protect the women, the children, and the elderly. You can't do this with an illegal firearm. You can't do this, you know what I'm saying, from a place that we've been trying to do it. you know what I'm saying, still having one foot into the drug game and doing all that, and then we want to turn around and have some kind of like manners when Miss Johnson come by with her grocery cart. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of an oxymoron. We tried it. We failed. I'm telling you, from my generation, we tried it. We failed. Because even if we being nice to Miss Johnson, at the same time, we just poison our neighborhood with drugs and, you know what I'm saying, drugs and violence. So,
And also, you're actually creating income once you become a fireman, a police,
yeah,
and you're able to protect your neighborhood. Also,
absolutely.
you know, as
And you're able to put yourself directly in the political sphere.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? Because now your chances of becoming a police commissioner are more higher than you becoming a rap star. Or
hmm
your chances of becoming a doctor is more higher than becoming an athlete.
hmm
Or your chances of becoming a fireman, you know what I'm saying, is way more, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, is way more higher than you
that,
becoming, you know what I'm saying, any type of entertainer or whatever the case may be. So if you're looking for instant gratification, which this generation is kind of seeking, instant gratification, like I did this, I deserve that. I did that, I supposed to get that. All right, well, cool. Put the work in where it matters, and you'll get what you want.
tell me about the churches. What do you think the churches could do? What can they? How can they? I have a lot of ideas of what the churches could do, but
Yeah.
your thoughts, if any.
Well, to be honest with you, you know, prior to Islam, the only knowledge that I have of the churches is when I was involved, when I was a Christian, when I was younger growing up. And I know that these churches generate a lot of, you know, saying capital. You know what I'm saying? So based on that, I would just say however they allocate these funds would definitely be contingent upon affecting change. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're generating tax-free money, which every church is doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Maybe this money need to be allocated a little bit better. Maybe it shouldn't be a single individual because of his position in the community receiving the benefits of everything, but all these hardworking people coming in paying their taxes, trying to pay their dues, trying to pay, you know what I'm saying, you know, to give some for the church and so on and so forth. Then these funds need to be allocated properly. The investment shouldn't be for the administration of these churches. It's people that come in and come in those infrastructures and those buildings who have qualities as well to contribute to the community. So if they're not sought out and they're not chosen, and it's just a situation that deals with the monarchy or those that immediate proximity of the administration of, you know, that organization, then that means that, you know, that could be a fail as well.
You know what I was thinking, Loon? I said these churches have property. You know, while we're in church, we could have businesses out there washing our cars. You know, so there people in the church have a car washing. You know, you go to church, you pay them to the people, our own church, our community, to wash our cars while we're in church. Afterwards, instead of going to Applebee's or something, you know, they have churches with kitchens in there. They used to feed you also. So why those? That's a business for some families that they can make money there, right there with the church. I just believe in this whole thing of bundling. You know, we're gonna have to bundle, bring our resources together in order to survive. Because things are not made for us, and we're out there, you know, all trying to grab whatever we can get. When within ourselves, we're smart people, we're
I
talented.
believe that, yeah, but I believe that those have to be conversations, Jamie. Those be have the
Oh,
conversation that have to
yeah,
take place because there can't be so many disclosed conversations going on at the same time, and then say at some point we're gonna bring it to the forefront so everybody can get clarity on where we, you know, where we stand or where we think we should be going. It's something that should be established, you know what I'm saying, as a collective.
I
Because
believe.
nothing can start without conversation. There
Yeah,
has to be some dialogue. And whoever's going to contribute to the conversation, whether it be monetary or whether it just be verbal,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It has to happen, you know what I'm saying, first before any action can take place.
My job is to pull things out of you that our people can listen to, can hear, and have aha moments. That we can have aha moments. I don't have to do this, I can do that. You understand? That's my job. I feel that that's what our, our good Lord has put into me before I leave this earth, because I'm in love with my people. I'm in love with Black people, and particularly Black men, because I don't think there's anything better than you all on this earth, really. If you think about how many nations and countries can bring forth all these poets. You guys are poets. Then you Negroes have the nerve to put infectious beats behind your poetry to move not only our nation, but worldwide. Worldwide. Think about the glory. Think about what's inside of you all. And I want you all to think about that before you do dumb stuff, you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, well, that's something that also has to take place, as a collective as well. When we identify with us being ambassadors, the ambassadorship that comes with being in a position of influence. You know what I'm saying? That's something I had to recognize at some point myself, is that we are ambassadors. So, with that being said, you become a representation of that community you come from. Now, if you want to represent the darkest and dirtiest and lowest sides of that community, you know what I'm saying, you have to understand that you're making a choice. And once you make that choice, you know what I'm saying, what comes with that is consequences. You know what I'm saying? It comes consequences because now you're the soundtrack of despair.
That's
You're
right.
the soundtrack of disenfranchisement.
That's
You know,
right.
you're the soundtrack of drugs, violence, sex, and so on and so forth. And if we don't identify with that, and I'm not telling nobody to change their tune, I'm just saying that understand and identify with that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So there could be some balance in your efforts. Like, everything doesn't have to be geared towards the negative. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the capital that some of these, artists generate. I would love it for a lot of them to help invest, in my prison reform efforts.
Yes.
My son been out there in Kentucky on the front line fighting for Breonna Taylor rights, you know what I'm saying? And he used to be in the music business. You know what I'm saying? People can't just say because there's already people out there picketing, let them do it, we'll sit back here. No, you got to get involved too.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, everybody running around spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on all this shiny stuff that you can't take with you. Now is the time when men need to be active. And I say that as generally. Men need to be active. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not going to take the initiative to follow, models like LeBron James, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
creating places for education for the youth, you know what I'm saying, so on and so forth. You have a lot of prison reform organizations out there that's running around advocating, trying to, establish legislation to free some of these men from prison. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to get involved with some of this stuff, then you're part of the problem. That's
Make
just
sure
my
that you keep me involved with. I'm serious about that. I'm not gonna let you go. You know, so we got a lot of work to do, and we got to get our millennials out there to vote. Tell me what you think about we should do with Trump. What's about? I'm gonna let you go, and I'm
Yeah, I'm
just.
definitely gonna go on this note because one thing this is my disclaimer,
Mm-hmm.
and I say this to everybody. I'm a Muslim first and foremost, so I'm not tied to no, saying ethnicity exclusively
Mm-hmm.
because I believe that any man that submits to the will of Allah is my brother. Now we are obligated as Muslims to enjoin what's good and forbid what's evil. There's no party that holds that standard. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not inclined to either Democrats or Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not inclined to the Constitution and how it is because it's man-made and it continues to unravel. It continues to get abrogated. It continues to get added to or subtracted to in order to find this so-called perfection in how we govern our, this country.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that, God has prescribed laws, you know what I'm saying, that have been put in place to govern his creation. And if we deviate from that, then what we get is what we get. So my thing is, my minuscule role in all this is just to enjoy what's good and forbid what's evil.
Mm-hmm.
If it starts to fall into anything that contradicts that, then I'm out. But if it has everything to do with enjoying what's good and forbidding what's evil, which is a general position for any man who wants to stand for justice, just enjoying what's good and forbid what's evil. Don't straddle. Don't try to have both. You know what I'm saying? You're only going to have one. It's either you're on the side of good
Good
or
or
you're on the side of evil.
mm-hmm.
And that's my disclaimer. And, hopefully my position doesn't threaten anybody or arouse people to start targeting me to be some kind of excessive individual, because I'm not.
No.
I have my limitations. I know where I'm good at as far as the fight, and I'm gonna fight for my position. You know what I'm saying?
I'm so glad for you sharing with us, and I really want you to stay in touch. We have a lot of work to do. to save our youth, and I'm here to help. I just I just enjoyed you so much, and so much wisdom. Everyone, thanks for joining us today. We hope you, our people, enjoyed this incredible interview with this incredibly talented soul man, my brother, Loon.
All right, Jamie. Take care of yourself. Pleasure seeing you after all these years. You know what I'm saying? You
No,
still holding it together. I see you got the camouflage on top. You ready for war.
you know I am.
You ready to fight alongside these men. You know what I'm saying? I hope that men looking at that and see that, man, you got this woman here, man, who's dedicated majority of her life to giving y'all a platform, giving y'all a voice, suited and booted, ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
I'm ready to
TTG,
go. Don't
train to
don't
go.
think that I don't think that I'm gone. Whatever you all need, because this is my mission here. And thank everyone. Thank your wife, your family, everyone that was there for you then and now. I'm so happy they brought you back strong, wonderful, still handsome, positive, about to do things and make our world a little bit better, a lot better, hopefully. Thank you
Inshallah.
so much.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, y'all. I appreciate it.
Bye bye.
All right.